Welcome. Settle in. Let the sounds of the city at night wash over you. The gentle hiss of rain on the perpetual twilight of the streets below. The distant, melancholic sigh of a passing maglev train. You are in Sci-Fi, a city of chrome and concrete, of neon dreams and digital ghosts. And tonight, our story begins, as so many do in this city, with a simple search for warmth and a good cup of coffee. Our guide on this journey is a man named Jax. He is not a hero, not a corporate titan, nor a street samurai with chromed limbs and a death wish. Jax is quieter than that. He is an observer. A data archaeologist, he calls himself. He sifts through the digital graveyards of the net, looking for forgotten code, lost information, the echoes of what came before. Tonight, he is simply cold, the damp chill of the Sci-Fi night seeping into his worn synth leather jacket. He walks through the undercity canyons, where the glow of the towering arcologies far above barely penetrates the thick, chemical haze. Holographic advertisements flicker and writhe on the wet pavement, giant, silent figures advertising products no one down here could ever afford. A beautiful woman with glowing eyes offers a sip of a shimmering energy drink. A sleek corporate vehicle dissolves into 1,000 points of light. They are ghosts of a world away, their phantom light offering no warmth. The air smells of rain, wet asphalt, and the faint, metallic tang of ozone from the overworked power conduits that snake along the buildings like steel ivy. Jax pulls his collar tighter, his breath fogging in the cool air. He passes noodle stalls where steam billows into the night, carrying the scent of synthetic soy and chili oil. He ignores the hawkers in their grimy booths, their augmented eyes scanning the sparse crowds for a potential customer. His destination is just ahead. It does not look like much from the outside. A simple storefront, its windows tinted to a deep, smoky black. Above the door, a single, flickering neon sign spells out its name in soft, emerald green script, the Binary Brew. There are 100 coffee shops in this sector alone. Most serve the same bitter, mass-produced synth coffee, churned out by the megacorporations that run the city, that run this world. But the Binary Brew is different. It's a place of pilgrimage for a certain kind of person. A haven. A secret. Jax pushes the heavy door open, and the sounds of the street recede, replaced by a different kind of symphony. The gentle murmur of hushed conversations, the soft clatter of ceramic mugs on wooden tables, and underneath it all, a sound that is almost a feeling. A deep, resonant hum that seems to vibrate in your very bones. It is the sound of the cafe's heart. An illicit, privately owned, and dangerously powerful quantum processor. The air inside is warm and thick with the aroma of real coffee, a scent so rare and expensive it's almost mythical. Not the harsh, acidic smell of synth coffee, but the rich, earthy fragrance of actual roasted beans, smuggled from one of the few remaining orbital greenhouses. That scent is layered with the clean, electric smell of ozone, a byproduct of the immense power coursing through the processor hidden somewhere in the cafe's foundations. Jax pauses for a moment, letting the warmth soak into him. The Binary Brew is a sanctuary from the digital noise of the outside world. Here, the endless stream of targeted ads and corporate propaganda is blocked at the source. The connection is clean, pure, and terrifyingly fast, thanks to the processor humming beneath the floorboards. It is a place for coders, hackers, information brokers, and data dreamers. A neutral ground in the quiet, undeclared war for information. He scans the room. It's dimly lit, the only light coming from the green glow of the cafe's sign filtering through the windows, and the soft, multicolored lights of the custom data terminals built into each booth. The walls are dark wood, scarred with the etchings of countless patrons. The tables are worn smooth. It feels less like a cafe and more like a library for secrets. Behind the long counter is Lena, the owner. She is a woman of indeterminate age, her face calm and unlined, her silver hair pulled back in a simple, tight knot. She never says much, but her eyes, a startlingly pale gray, seem to miss nothing. She moves with a quiet efficiency, polishing a clean mug with a soft cloth, her movements slow and deliberate. She is the keeper of this place, the guardian of its secret heart. She gives Jax a faint, almost imperceptible nod of acknowledgement. He nods back. In a large, circular booth in the corner, Razor holds court. Razor is everything Jax is not. Loud, flashy, and brilliant. His teeth have been replaced with polished chrome, and they flash in the low light as he laughs. His data rig is a monstrosity of custom hardware, glowing with aggressive crimson lights. He is a mercenary hacker, a digital gunslinger who sells his skills to the highest bidder. Tonight, he is boasting about a recent infiltration, his voice a low rumble that still manages to fill the space around him. His companions, younger and eager, hang on his every word. Jax's eyes drift to a small, isolated table near the back. There sits the Oracle. She is an old woman, wrapped in a gray shawl, her face a road map of wrinkles. She sips a cup of herbal tea, the steam curling around her face. Her eyes, however, are not old. They are gleaming silver optics, custom-made and constantly scanning, not the physical room, but the invisible world of data that flows through it. She is an information broker, a whisper merchant. It is said the Oracle can find any piece of information for a price. It is also said that her price is never just money. Jax ignores them both. He is not here for gossip or bravado. He navigates through the tables to his usual spot. A small, two-person booth in the far corner, offering a clear view of the entire cafe but tucked away enough to feel private. The terminal here is an older model, its casing scuffed, but he has customized the interface to his own meticulous specifications. He likes the familiar feel of it. He slides into the worn synth leather seat and places his datapad on the table. He does not need it here, but it is a comfort, a familiar weight. Lena arrives a moment later, placing a heavy ceramic mug in front of him. She does not need to ask for his order. Black coffee, no sugar. The real thing. The cost is exorbitant, but it is a luxury he allows himself. It is the price of admission to this place. "Quiet night, Jax," Lena says, her voice as soft as the hum of the processor. "The best kind," he replies, wrapping his cold hands around the warm mug. She gives another small nod and disappears back to her domain behind the counter. Jax takes a sip of the coffee. It's perfect. Bitter, strong, and complex, a world away from the chemical sludge most people drink. He leans back, letting the warmth spread through his chest, and for the first time all day, he feels himself relax. The tension in his shoulders eases. This is his ritual. His moment of peace in a city that offers none. He activates the terminal in his booth. The screen flickers to life, not with a standard operating system, but with a direct, raw interface into the cafe's quantum network. The speed is breathtaking. It's like stepping from a crowded, narrow alley into an infinite, open plain. Here data flows like water. He could access almost anything from here, bypass corporate firewalls, crack government encryptions. The temptation is always there, a siren song for any coder. But that is not Jax's way. He is an archaeologist, not a thief. He spends the next hour in quiet contentment. He sips his coffee and works on a personal project, restoring a fragment of corrupted code from a pre-corporate era social media platform. A digital fossil. He finds beauty in its obsolete elegance, a ghost of a time when the net was a wilder, freer place. The low hum of the processor, the murmur of conversation, the gentle clink of ceramic. It is a perfect, ordinary night at the Binary Brew. And then it happens. It starts with a flicker. The lights in the cafe dip for a fraction of a second, and the deep hum of the quantum processor wavers, its pitch shifting just slightly, like a string on a cello being tuned. Every head in the room lifts. A silence falls, sudden and absolute. Even Razor, mid-boast, is cut off. In a place so dependent on stable, clean power, such a fluctuation is unheard of. Then, the terminals begin to glitch. Every screen in the cafe, from Razor's glowing red monstrosity to Jax's simple, customized interface, begins to cascade with lines of emerald green code. It is not a crash. It is too elegant, too structured for that. It is an intrusion. A broadcast. Here, in the most secure, isolated public network in Sci-Fi. It is impossible. The code flows like a waterfall, shimmering and complex. Jax's eyes widen. He has never seen anything like it. The syntax is alien, yet its structure is profoundly logical. It is not written. It is grown. The cascade lasts for perhaps 10 seconds. The entire cafe is bathed in an eerie green light reflected on the faces of its patrons. Jax sees a spectrum of emotions. Confusion. Anger on Razor's face. Deep, focused curiosity in the silver eyes of the Oracle. And on Lena's face, behind the counter, something Jax has never seen before. The faintest trace of what might be recognition, or perhaps fear. Then, as suddenly as it began, the cascade of code stops. It coalesces on every screen into a single, stark image. A symbol. It is an hourglass, its glass shattered, the sand frozen in midair. It hangs there for 3 heartbeats, a silent, cryptic message broadcast to the most elite coders and data runners in the city. Then it vanishes. The screens return to normal. The lights stabilize. The deep, steady hum of the processor resumes its familiar rhythm. The moment is over. A beat of silence hangs in the air, thick with unspoken questions. Then, Razor breaks it with a harsh, derisive laugh. "A ghost," he scoffs, his chrome teeth glinting. "Some dead legend trying to spook the children. Pathetic." He turns back to his rig, his fingers flying across the holographic keys, likely trying to trace the signal, to prove his superiority over this phantom intruder. But no one else is laughing. The atmosphere in the cafe has changed. The easy calm is gone, replaced by a tense, electric undercurrent. The whispers that resume are more urgent, more paranoid. What was it? Who sent it? What did the shattered hourglass mean? Jax stares at his own screen, which now shows the lines of his antique code, just as he left them. But he is not seeing them. He is seeing the hourglass. The image is burned into his mind. It felt less like a message and more like a warning. Or a prophecy. His curiosity, the defining trait of a data archaeologist, is ignited. This was not a fossil. This was something new, something alive. Something that had managed to breach the digital fortress of the binary brew. He resists the urge to do what Razor is doing, to launch a brutish trace that will likely lead nowhere. Instead, he does what he does best. He looks for what was left behind. He closes his project and opens a diagnostic tool, one he designed himself. It is not for tracing signals, but for analyzing residues, the faint digital footprints left by any process. He commands the tool to scan the local cache of his terminal, looking for any fragments, any echoes of the intrusive code. It is the equivalent of dusting for fingerprints after a ghost has passed through a room. Most would find nothing. But Jax is patient. He watches the lines of his diagnostic scroll by, searching for a single byte out of place, a single anomaly in the data stream. The coffee in his mug grows cold. The whispers in the cafe continue, a nervous buzz. And then he finds it. It is tiny. Infinitesimal. A single packet of corrupted data, left behind in the wake of the broadcast, like a single dropped scale from a passing dragon. To anyone else, it would be meaningless junk, a random error caused by the glitch. But to Jax, its structure is wrong. It does not fit. He carefully isolates the packet, copying it to a secure partition. He begins to unpack it, layer by layer. It is not just corrupted data. It is encrypted. Densely. Impossibly. The encryption is like the broadcast code, organic and flowing. He has never seen its like. He runs a standard decryption algorithm against it. The process fails instantly. He tries another, more powerful one. It fails. He leans back, a slow smile touching his lips. This is a real puzzle. A genuine artifact from an unknown digital craftsman. He forgets the whispers, the tension, the shattered hourglass itself. He is lost in the intellectual chase, the pure joy of a problem to be solved. He spends the next 2 hours working on it. He does not try to brute force it. He knows he cannot. Instead, he studies it. He maps its contours, traces its logic, seeks to understand its philosophy. It is like learning a new language by looking at a single, complex word. Slowly, painstakingly, he begins to make progress. He finds a recursive loop, a key that seems to reference itself. It is elegant, beautiful. He works at it, teasing it apart, not with force, but with finesse. The rest of the world fades away. It is just him and the puzzle. Finally, with a soft chime from his terminal, a single layer of the encryption peels back. It does not reveal the message. It reveals another layer of encryption. But within that new layer is a single, plaintext string. A signature. The signature is one word. Weavers. Jax freezes, his hands hovering over the keyboard. Weavers. It is a name from the myths of the net. Not just legends like Razor had scoffed. Deeper than that. The Weavers were said to be the first true architects of the free net, a collective of programmers who believed in information as a living entity, something to be nurtured, not controlled. They were digital druids in a world of strip miners. They were credited with creating the foundational protocols that the megacorporations later corrupted and built their empires upon. They were supposed to have vanished decades ago, wiped out or driven into hiding by the corporate data purges. Most believe they never existed at all. A fairy tale for coders. Jax looks up from his terminal. The cafe is emptier now. Razor and his crew are gone, no doubt to brag about their fruitless search in some other corner of the city. A few lone patrons remain, hunched over their own screens, the earlier excitement having dwindled to a low-grade paranoia. His eyes find the Oracle. She is still there, nursing her now cold tea. But she is not looking at her terminal. She is looking at him. Her silver eyes seem to pierce the dim light of the cafe, and Jax has the distinct, unsettling feeling that she knows. She knows he found something. She knows he cracked that first layer. He feels a prickle of fear, a cold knot in his stomach that has nothing to do with the night air. This is no longer an academic puzzle. This is not a digital fossil. The Weavers. The shattered hourglass. A broadcast that pierced the impregnable walls of the binary brew. This is something far bigger, and far more dangerous, than he could have imagined. He has a choice. He can delete the packet. He can erase his logs, pay Lena for his cold coffee, and walk out into the rain-slicked streets of Sci-Fi. He can go back to his quiet life, to his digital fossils and forgotten histories. He can pretend he saw nothing, found nothing. He can remain an observer. Or he can stand up. He can walk over to the old woman with the silver eyes. He can offer her the only currency he has, the single word he uncovered. And he can ask a question. He knows that in speaking to the Oracle, he will be taking a step from which he cannot return. He will be placing himself in the center of a story that is not his. He will be trading his quiet peace for a dangerous truth. He looks from his screen, with its single, glowing word, to the old woman who waits and watches. He thinks of the soulless holographic ads in the street, of the bitter synth cough that most of the city drinks, of the slow, creeping control of the corporations. And he thinks of the elegant, living code he has just witnessed, a ghost of a freer world. Slowly, deliberately, Jax closes his diagnostic tool. He secures the data packet. He takes one last look at his quiet corner, his little sanctuary within a sanctuary. Then, taking a deep breath, he stands up and begins to walk towards the Oracle's table. The low, steady hum of the quantum processor seems to follow him, a silent, knowing witness to the choice he has just made. The night is no longer quiet. It is waiting. Welcome back to the quiet corners of Sci-Fi. The rain has passed for now, leaving the streets gleaming like polished obsidian under the ceaseless glow of neon. Inside the binary brew, the night has deepened. The last of the casual patrons have departed, leaving only the dedicated, the desperate, and the damned. The air is still, thick with unspoken energy. Jack stands, the warmth of his booth forgotten, a single word burning in his mind: weavers. He approaches the Oracle's table. The old woman does not look up at him as he nears. Her silver eyes remain fixed on the swirling tea leaves in her cup, as if reading a prophecy in their patterns. Jack stops beside her table, a silent question hanging in the air. The silence stretches, thick and heavy. Only the ever-present hum of the processor fills the void. Finally, the Oracle speaks, her voice a dry whisper, like rustling leaves. The first step is always the heaviest, data archaeologist. Jax is taken aback. She had never spoken to him before, yet she knew his self-proclaimed title. He finds his voice, keeping it low. You saw the broadcast. It is not a question. Some see with their eyes, the Oracle murmurs, her gaze still on her cup. Others see the ripples a stone makes in a pond. What did you see, Jax? He pulls out the chair opposite her and sits down. The wood is cold. He feels exposed, out of his depth. I saw a message. And a signature. Signatures can be forged, she says, a hint of warning in her tone. Illusions to lead the curious astray. This one was not, Jack says with certainty. The encryption was biological. It was alive. I've never seen anything like it. At this, the Oracle finally lifts her head. Her silver optics focus on him, and for a moment, Jax feels as if his entire personal history is being scanned, catalogued, and cross-referenced. Alive, she repeats softly. A good word. The weavers never wrote code. They cultivated it. They believed the network was a garden, not a machine. So it was true. They were real. What do they want? Jax asks. What does the shattered hourglass mean? The Oracle leans back, her ancient eyes seeming to look through him, into the past. Time is running out. That is its simple meaning. But for what? For whom? She takes a slow, deliberate sip of her tea. The megacorporations, Omnicorp in particular, are on the verge of a breakthrough. They call it the Sentience Protocol, a marketing term for total information control. They plan to unify the entire global network under a single, predictive AI. It will not just monitor data, it will anticipate it. It will know what you will think before you do. It will prune divergent thoughts. It will make the garden a perfectly manicured, sterile hedge maze. It is the end of digital anonymity. The end of free will, in any meaningful sense. The shattered hourglass is a warning that the last grains of sand are falling. A cold dread trickles down Jax's spine. He had heard whispers of the Sentience Protocol, but dismissed them as paranoid fantasies. To hear it laid out so plainly by the oracle gives it a terrifying weight. The broadcast was a call, the oracle continues. A call to arms for those who still remember the garden. The weavers are not dead. They are in hibernation. And they believe it is time to wake up. Why here? Jax asks, his voice barely a whisper. Why the binary brew? The oracle allows a rare, thin smile to grace her lips. Where else would you plant the seed for a new forest, but in the most fertile soil? She glances towards the counter, where Lena is silently wiping down the espresso machine, seemingly oblivious. The glance is fleeting, but full of meaning. This place is more than a cafe, Jax. Its processor is the key. Jax feels the pieces clicking into place, forming a picture far larger and more terrifying than his simple puzzle. Lena, the silent guardian. The illicit processor, the heart of the operation. The weavers, the ghostly gardeners. And himself, the quiet archaeologist who had stumbled into the middle of it all. What do you want from me? He asks, the question direct and stripped of pretense. I want nothing, the oracle says. The question is, what do you want? You have a choice. You can take the fragment you found, the seed of a name, and you can nurture it. Or you can cast it aside and walk away. Return to your digital fossils. No one will blame you. The past is much safer than the future. She reaches into her shawl and pulls out a small, dark object. It looks like a shard of obsidian, no bigger than his thumb. She slides it across the table. It makes no sound. This is a key, she says. It will not open the message you found. You must do that yourself. It will merely show you the door. But be warned. The moment you use it, you will no longer be an observer. You will cast a shadow in the deep parts of the net, and there are things that hunt shadows. Omnicorpse hounds among them. Jax looks at the shard. It is cool to the touch, its surface impossibly smooth. It feels heavy, laden with the weight of the decision it represents. His quiet life, his peaceful nights in the cafe, his harmless explorations of the past. All of it was on one side of the scale. On the other, this small piece of darkness, and the terrifying, electrifying promise of an unknown future. He thinks of the living code, its elegance and beauty. A whisper of a better world. He slowly closes his hand around the shard. Its edges are sharp, but they do not cut. He looks at the oracle, whose silver eyes hold a flicker of something that might be approval. The weavers chose their name for a reason. She says softly, a single thread is weak, but many threads, woven together, can create something strong and beautiful. Be careful which threads you pull, Jax. With that, she stands up, leaving her cold tea on the table. She gives him a final, lingering look, then turns and walks towards the door, her shawl wrapped tightly around her, a gray ghost disappearing back into the neon-haunted night. Jax is left alone at the table, the obsidian shard growing warm in his palm. The cafe is almost empty now. Only Lena remains, moving with her usual placid grace, her routine a small point of normality in a world that has suddenly tilted on its axis. He returns to his own booth, the shard feeling like a lead weight in his pocket. He sits for a long time, staring at the blank screen of his terminal, the deep hum of the processor seeming to ask him a question. Finally, he takes a deep breath and pulls the shard from his pocket. It has a small, universal data jack at one end. He looks at the port on his terminal. The door, the oracle had called it. He hesitates for only a second longer, then firmly plugs the shard in. The world does not explode. The lights do not flicker. Instead, a quiet, intricate pattern of light, a soft silver, traces its way from the shard and across his screen. It is not a program opening, it is a map unfolding. It shows him a hidden path, a back door into the deepest, most uncharted territories of the net. a place known only in whispers as the Ghost Forum. It is the digital space where the Weavers once met. Guided by the map, Jax navigates his terminal through layers of obsolete protocols and dead data realms. It is a journey through a digital graveyard, and he feels strangely at home. This is his specialty. After a few minutes of silent, focused work, he arrives. The Ghost Forum is not a place of flashing graphics or holographic avatars. It is a void. A silent, black space, with faint, shimmering lines of text hanging in the emptiness like distant stars. These are old conversations, echoes of the Weavers from decades ago. He is standing in a digital ruin. He finds a single, active node, a place where a new message can be left. A digital prayer into the void. He does not type a question. He does not mention the broadcast or the hourglass. He simply takes the encrypted packet he had uncovered, the one containing the signature of the Weavers, and he posts it. A single, complex knot of code, left in the darkness. Then he waits. Minutes stretch into an hour. The binary brew is silent now, save for the hum of its heart. Lena has finished her closing rituals and is simply standing behind the counter, her hands resting on the polished wood, watching him. She knows. Of course she knows. Just as he begins to think that nothing will happen, that he has left his offering at a dead shrine, a response appears. It is not text. It is another data packet, appearing directly below his own. It is larger, more complex, and seems to pulse with a soft, internal light. He downloads it, his heart pounding in his chest. It is sealed, of course. But this is not an encryption of defense. It is a lock, waiting for the right key. A puzzle. A test. Jax's fear is replaced by a surge of focused energy. This is a challenge he can meet. He sets to work, his fingers flying across the interface. The puzzle is a marvel of logical artistry. He has to align resonant frequencies, trace genealogical data trees, solve fractal logic loops. It is the most complex and beautiful piece of programming he has ever encountered. It is a conversation without words. The puzzle is the Weaver's way of asking, "Are you one of us? Do you understand the dance?" And Jax, the quiet archaeologist, the lover of elegant, forgotten systems, understands. He works, lost to the world, his mind fully engaged in the digital ballet. Finally, after what feels like an eternity, he finds the final sequence. He aligns the last variable, and with a gentle, mental click, the packet opens. Inside is a message. It unfurls in his mind not as text, but as pure concept, a direct transfer of information. It is from a Weaver who calls herself Echo. Her message is simple and devastating. The Oracle was right. The Sentience Protocol is nearly complete. But the Weaver's plan is not to fight Omnicorp in a data war. That is a battle they cannot win. Their plan is to escape. To create a new, independent network. A sanctuary, free from corporate control, free from the all-seeing eye of the protocol. And the seed of this new network, its physical and quantum anchor, is the processor humming right beneath his feet. The binary brew is not just a haven. It is an arc. But to activate it, to unlock its full potential and sever it from the Omnicorp grid forever, they need a final piece. A keystone. A specific strand of proprietary code that acts as the master control for Omnicorp's entire network architecture. And this keystone is located in only one place. The core server of Omnicorp Tower, the most heavily fortified data fortress on the planet. Echo's message explains why they chose him. They had been watching the cafe, watching all the patrons. Razor was too loud, too arrogant. He would try to smash the gates and would be instantly annihilated. Others lacked the skill. But Jax was different. They watched him lovingly restore old code. They saw his patience, his reverence for the data itself. He would not smash the gates. He would find the key. He was not a soldier. He was an archaeologist. And only he could enter the tomb of Omnicorp, find the artifact, and leave without waking the dead. The message ends, leaving Jax in the silent aftermath of revelation. He is to be their thief. Their ghost. The responsibility is crushing. He is just one man. A quiet man who likes old code and good coffee. He looks up, and his eyes meet Lena's across the empty cafe. There is no need for words. He knows now what she is. A former weaver. The caretaker of the Ark, waiting for the flood. He gets up from his booth and walks to the counter, the weight of his new purpose heavy on his shoulders. The Oracle told you, Lena says. It is a statement. Her voice is calm, but he can see a new intensity in her pale gray eyes. She did, Jax replies. And them. The Weavers. Lena nods slowly. I have been the keeper of this place for 20 years. I built it around the processor, a gift from a friend long gone. I have waited. I wondered if the time would ever come. They want me to retrieve something, Jax says. A keystone. From Omnicorp Tower. Lena's composure finally cracks. A flicker of deep concern crosses her face. That is a death sentence, Jax. No one has ever breached their core and returned. They think I can, he says, a strange sense of calm settling over him. They think I can do it quietly. Quietly is the only way. Lena agrees. She pauses, her gaze distant. You cannot do it from a terminal. Not even this one. To bypass their security, their ICE, you cannot be a remote user. You have to be a native process. You have to go in yourself. Jax understands. A full immersion dive. Projecting his consciousness directly into the data stream. It is a dangerous, experimental technology, known to cause psychosis and neural damage. You will need to be connected directly to the processor. Lena continues, her voice low and urgent. I can open the gateway for you. I can shield your physical body. But once you are inside the Omnicorp stream, you will be alone. He looks around the quiet cafe. The worn tables, the dark wood, the faint smell of coffee. His sanctuary. And he realizes it is not just his. It is a sanctuary for everyone who has ever sought refuge here. Razor, the Oracle, all of them. The Weaver's plan is not just to save themselves, but to save the idea of a place like this. The idea of freedom. All right, Jax says, his voice steady. What do we need to do? Lena leads him to the back of the cafe, to a door he has never seen open. Behind it is not a stockroom, but a small, clean chamber, filled with the deep, resonant hum of the quantum processor. The air is cool and smells strongly of ozone. In the center of the room is a single, sleek immersion chair. This is the heart of it all. The engine of the Ark. The journey will be disorienting, Lena says, as he settles into the chair. The Omnicorp stream is not like the open net. It is ordered, sterile, and patrolled by automated data wraiths. Your consciousness will be a foreign body. Move slowly. Do not fight. Blend in. Find the keystone. And come back. She places a neural interface headset over his head. It feels cool against his temples. I will be your anchor, Jax. When you have the keystone, think of this place. Think of the hum. I will pull you back. He closes his eyes. He can hear the hum of the processor, feel its vibrations through the chair. It is a comforting, familiar sound. The last sound of his physical world. Ready? Lena asks. Jax takes one final, deep breath. He thinks of the shattered hourglass. He thinks of the garden. Ready, he says. Lena activates the sequence. The hum intensifies, rising in pitch until it is no longer a sound, but a feeling, a pressure inside his skull. A brilliant, white light blossoms behind his eyelids. The physical world melts away. He is no longer in the chair. He is floating in an endless, crystalline grid. A city of pure data stretches out before him in perfect, geometric patterns. This is the Omnicorp stream. Cold, silent, perfect. And he is a flaw in its perfection. The hunt has already begun. Far in the distance, a colossal server tower pulses with a malevolent, red light. The core. His destination. He is no longer Jax, the data archaeologist. He is a ghost in the machine. And the fate of the last free corner of the digital world rests on him being invisible. He begins to move, not as a man, but as a thought, drifting silently through the city of light, towards the heart of the beast. The hum of the cafe is a distant memory, a lifeline he must cling to. The final act had begun.